Yeah, this is Brian. And your love channel right now. Getting some good love. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, this is Brian from LogicProHacks. How's it going? And, you know, it's one of those weird nights. You have something going on. So I got us, how are we going to do this today? Yes. Yeah. Trip hop. So what are we doing today? We're doing a little bit of a trip hop, down tempo, jazz funk. And in this one, we have lots of drums, sampled drums, that is, some piano, and a really amazing electric guitar sound at the end. So the first step, or the first playthrough thing that I'm going to show you, is we'll just start off with the drum sounds and give you a listen to. Lots of filtering too, AutoFilter. Here we go. Get some. Yeah. All right. So this is what I call the ultimate in drum funk sampling. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sets of drums. And let's go ahead and open up the mixer window and I'll show you how that's going on here. Let's open this bad boy up. So if we go over to the main drum sounds, you can see it just goes on and on and on. And how is this going? Well, start off with the drum bus right here. They're all bust. So they're just going, here's set. One set right here. And then here's the next set. And here's the other set. And here's the bongo, crash, tambourine, shakers. Now, what I'm using to do these is I'm using a little bit of everything. And we'll go ahead and do the first set here. It's using the EXS24 Sampler engine. To go in here and edit it, you can see what's going on here. You got this, that, and you can see that I have the outputs split out to different channels. Now with the EXS24, you have to remember that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are all mono. For some reason, they stuck the mono channels in between. I don't know why they did that, but okay. So I have 3/4, 1920. So that's why it's skipping around in the place. And if we look at the sample, open sample editor here, you can see that, you know, it's based off of a, let's go look at this here. Each one was cut individually. And I believe they were sampled from some loop and not Logic somewhere, a drum loop. And what I like to do is I like to break them apart and then put them in MIDI and then change it around, get a little funk to it. And that's really what I did. So take a look at the, and you could see that, yeah, we have the cutoff. I mean, everything is just being automated like crazy. You got filter cutoff being controlled by LFO, and the LFO rate is, you know, every 3 bars or something. And they got another cutoff that's controlled by the velocity. The harder you hit the drum, the less of filtering will happen. That's the way it works. And you have sample select as well. And you have a little bit of envelope going on. So I did a lot of that with these different drum sounds at the EXS24. It's kind of fun to play with that. And when you do those edits, it's across the board. It's for every single drum sound within that kit. We go over here to this next set. Open up this one. I have 2 monitors. For some reason, it defaults over the other monitor. Pretty much the same kind of settings for all of them. And in this one here, we have that one. Yeah, got the little cowbell. That's what's going on over there. And another set right here. And you have this going on. Same thing again. All the settings. This one has a little bit more to it. And then on each drum sound, EQ. You know, a little bit of variation of EQ, but what my main goal is I have different kick settings and I'm cutting out to make space for, because you have 3 different kicks going on at the same time, so you don't want them clashing. So I'm cutting out certain frequencies for each kick. So when they all meld together, they actually sound somewhat decent. The some of these are snare sounds and hi-hat EQs, and just kind of go in and it just, and where do I get these EQ settings? I just kind of listen to each one individually and I say, all right, I need to cut out the low end and the mid end for my hi-hats, and then I just want to tweak certain, areas, and then at the same time, you want to cut out certain parts that might be like your ringing or your resonant frequencies. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I have a special reverb. This bus 3 is going to a saturation verb, is what I call it. If we go over to here, you can see it's a space D. And it's just basically a bright, small reverb, but pulled the dry all the way down and reverb all the way up. And this is found in medium spaces, rooms, right there. However, putting EQ after it and knock out the low and just kind of jack up the mid highs. And then put a tape delay. But this is not a normal tape delay. This is more of a tape saturation trick that you could do. I have another video about this. But what it is you just jack up your feedback and you put your dry and your wet. Mainly you want to make sure that your wet is up more, so you're not going to really get any effect out of this. But the other thing is you want to make sure that there's no delay time. And all this is zeroed out over here. For everything else, you can play with this right here. This is really cool. You know, you could put clean or diffuse and play with these settings right here. You get some really cool saturation sounds from this. It's a really good plug-in part. And this is free out of Logic. So, and I put that at the end and then put a limiter on it. And it gives a real nice sound when you put it through the reverb. And then I have delay effects. Two different kinds of delays. I have a left and a right. And then you can see they're panned. And they're basically, you know, just da 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 da, you know, kind of like that. 16, da 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 da, you know. And then this one is oh yeah, this is an alternating pan, so it's a little bit different. Da 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 da, yeah, something like that. And then we have a ghost channel, which is basically it's give you that ducking sound, so you can put it in wherever you need that ducking sound to be. And you don't have to worry about hearing it. What we have going on here is we have another one here. It's called Bus 7. And this is a reverb I call Reverb 3, but it's really, this is I actually have the hardware unit put away somewhere, but I'll show you a picture of it, what it looks like. Come on. This is what it looks like. They sell for about $125. You can get them from eBay or Reverb. And probably one of the better reverb sounds from a hardware unit. These guys they're kind of like, they're really good. I like the reverb sound out of it. It's kind of basic, but really good sound you can get from these things. And you're saying, well, how did I get it inside a Space Designer? Well, there is a way that you could do it, and you can actually sample the IR, and there's an actual IR utility in Logic. I should do a tutorial about that, but it's really hard to set up because you have to route an input and an output into your Logic, and you have to funk around with the yeah, I said funk around, and get all the cabling just right. And then it sends some kind of a weird spike sine wave sound. And then it calculates that and gives you a good reverb sound. The reverb sound is like 3 second. And if we listen to it a little bit, and I'll let you listen to it because I also got the guitar running through a different reverb channel using the same kind of reverb unit. So that's a custom reverb unit that I'm putting into this template that is yours to have and use. So doing something special today. Well, with this one. And those are all the drums. You can see there's a lot of processing going into them. A lot of cool auto filter sounds. Really neat sound. And if we go over here, show the automation here. You can see I also have another auto filter sitting on top of the main drum bus sound. So you got auto filter and auto filter, especially at the beginning, which is kind of cool. And let's take a look at the bus. So on the sub mix or drum, the main where all drums are going to is going to this sub mix here. And in this sub mix, you know, you could pick. Now this is a custom one that I did, so I think there might be one in factory or something like that, punchy drums or something like that. However, what I did here is when you sample drums from a loop, a lot of times the for the big main thump that you get from a drum is kind of weak. And what I wanted to do is I just really want to bring in that thump, that hump and thump. Yep. and that's what I did here. You can see that my threshold, heck, was just go ahead and play it. And I'll give you a little show and tell here. Here we go. Just drums. It's going to be loud. Yeah. So as you could tell, I got it thumping and humping. and how you do that is you just make sure that your auto gain is turned off. I don't really like using the auto gain. I set my look ahead about 5 seconds. You could play with that. A lot of times what you run into is you'll get, what are they called? Delay compensation issues. Or where it's not compensated and you get your plugins kind of out of sync with other plugins. So you just want to be careful with your look ahead here. You want to keep it nice and short so it's not out of sync with your other stuff. I believe Logic has a delay compensation, plugin compensation built in. Yeah, I can't remember where it is right now, but if you have a question about that, I'll show you. I'll tell you about it. I'll look it up for you. Keep it on track here. So what I usually do is I just kind of just solo each one out and individually listen to it, and I just kind of tweak it. I don't mess with this stuff down here. I just kind of mess with the ratio and the threshold, and I just kind of tweak the areas. It's like if the bars are going up here, and I just kind of get this guy and I just barely touch it a little bit so I can just kind of compress it just a little tiny bit, and then I jack the gain up because it was just the volume or there wasn't really hardly normalization in these samples, so it had weak volume, so that's why I've got a lot of gain in it. Yeah, just solo each one out and listen to each one individually. That's what I'm doing. The submix, AutoFilter. This one is kind of like going all over the crazy place. And it might be a setting. Linear EQ. I do like to use the linear EQ. It's a more exact precision kind of EQ. And the only thing I'm doing is just a little tiny bit of lift in the sub end. Just get a little of that thump and humping. Yeah, the hump and thumping. That's it. And just take off a little bit of the high end. And an add limiter. Now, why am I using an adaptive limiter? Is you can use these on your buses and on your masters. It also has to do with the delay compensation issues, or whatever you want to call it. You know, if you put this on your regular bus, you're going to run into issues because look how much of a look ahead this has. It has like a 30-second, millisecond look ahead. And so you're going to get a little bit of possible phasing issues if you use it on like a regular bus or like regular track. So that's why you want to keep it on your main buses or your master. Don't put it on your regular ones. Use the regular limiter for your other tracks. That's just a tip. That's what I like to do. And I jacked up the gain again. Just getting it humping and thumping. That's the word for today. Humping and thumping and funkin'. Yeah. And that's everything for there. That's drums. All right. So then after the drums, you know, lots of drums. Oh, bongos. We didn't talk about bongos. Bongos are cool. All right. Yeah. So I was always a big fan of Cow Chater. He's the main jazz bongo guy of the 1960s, 1970s, 1940s, whatever. And he's always been yeah, I got something sticking up over here. Whoa. Yeah, crazy. Jazz fusion, the original jazz fusion father of jazz fusion is basically what I would call him. And his main thing was bongos, man, and he could play some serious bongos. And I like it. And I've always been a fan of him. Listen to stuff, just really good stuff. Here he is. Here's Cow Chater. The T is silent. And the J-A is pronounced like a che. Chater. There you go. And this guy is the dude. But he was always known for playing really cool bongos. And you can see I did the same thing with the bongos, filter cut off and all that. And if we just listen to a little bit of bongos going on right here, you can get an idea of what's going on. Yeah. Get some. So that's my bongos. Like it. Love it. And my tribute to Cow Chater. Cha, cha, cha. and then we got my shakers and tambourines. Each one is, effects and all that. If we play them by itself. Yeah. Yeah. And there we go. Sub bass. Always have to have a good sub. Pretty simple sub. It's basically an ES2. I use this a lot. It works really well. And listen to it right here. That's a good sub. And the next one is Sculpture. Yay! Sculpture. Yes, I'm using some Sculpture in this one. You're thinking, what the heck are you doing with this thing? Yeah, so here's my deal with Sculpture. I don't normally like the sound of it by itself. Because as you play it, just has this metally aftertaste, if that makes sense. Like you had a copper penny in your mouth. That's what it sounds like to me. That's why I don't like it. However, there are certain parts where it actually fits in pretty well. So, put an EQ on it, cut out that metally sound, and then put a little compression on top of it. I'm using a platinum compressor because it dulls it down even more. Because that's what platinum does, is different compressor types have different characteristics to it. So that's what we're doing here. Here's what it sounds like. Ooh, oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, this is Brian. And your love channel right now. Getting some good love. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So, ooh, it's peeking out a little bit. May need some, turn down a little bit. Oh, I got the Now, if we put the ghost on, shouldn't peek out. Check this out. Ooh, there you go. Yeah. So, I tricked you. So, that's, you could, with this sculpture, you can make some pretty decent sounds. But you have to sculpt it. Hence the word sculpture. And you can see my settings. It's nothing really too much. It's basically you're kind of going in between the steel and the nylon, and using a lot of filter in this, and that's where you get that good chord sound. And now, what makes this sound? How come it sounds so cool? Well, it's in the MIDI. If we look at the MIDI, what kind of chords am I using? I think I'm using 7th chords. E minor 7th. And then it goes to an A minor 7th. It goes to a G minor 7th. And then to a D minor 7th. 7th chords are awesome. Sounds really good. All right. Moving on. Sculpture. And we got a little bit of guitar verb. And that's using that Yamaha reverb that I'm using there on that thing. Sounds really good, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And let's go over here to this other one. This is called Square Pad. Square! And using the EXS24. And this is something I sampled from somewhere. I have no idea what I sampled it from. Let's take a look. It looks like some kind of pad. I have no idea what I sampled it. I think I sampled it from a Korg Karma or something. Yeah, maybe. Or an Alesis. I can't remember. I should write notes about it. But anyways, who cares? It sounds good. It sounds really good. So you got filter cutoff, velocity, controlling the LFO, and some panning on the LFO3, and velocity, sample select. Sample select velocity is the harder you play, the louder it sounds. That's kind of what it does. It's kind of like a piano. No sidechain. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. So bus 1, I'm using a different kind of reverb. What kind of reverb am I using here? Some kind of lexicon clone reverb. Large ambience. Next one is piano. Piano is cool. This is a good one. First start with a compressor. Nice piano. FET. Well, it's not really a FET anymore. It's a VCA. But I think what happened is I picked a setting and then I changed it. And the red one, the red compressor, is really nice because it really brightens the sound out really good. Really good for pianos. EQ. You can see I'm taking out some resonant frequencies, especially on the piano. Certain cue points that you want to take out, especially on this Steinway that Logic has. And then the limiter. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. Good song. Yeah. 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 There we go. Piano for you. Get some chords. Get some going. Get something going. Says piano. And guitar, Verb. That's just automation control of the guitar. See? Now, this is the bad boy of it all. Over here is this guy. Is a sample that I did this a long time ago. Sampled this guitar. It's an Ovation. Here's the one that I sampled. This guy right here. Beautiful guitar made by Ovation. And I sold it. I'm not a guitar player, but I found it at a pawn shop. I was like, this is a beautiful guitar. I bet you it makes a beautiful sound. And it does. It really does. You can judge a book by its cover, a guitar by its cover. You sure can. And this one is a really nice sounding guitar. Now, I don't know much about guitars, but what I did when I sampled it is I plucked each note. So I held a fret down and I went all the way down the string, holding each fret down, and I plucked each one. And then I went up and down the string for every single possible note that you could pluck on that string. So it's more of a, I didn't really do any chords on it or anything like that because I can't do, I mean, I could do a couple basic chords on guitar. And this is what I got. Got this. You could see, well, how come you have double? Well, the thing is when you start plucking every single string, you're going to run into duplicates because, you know, the way guitar works musically or scale-wise, that, you know, each string is, you're going to run into combination of duplicate notes, if that makes sense. So, here we go. Now, you're saying, how are you getting this to go every other note when you click on it? Well, it's called round robin. And the way round robin works is you got to do a lot of setup before you can even get it just right. And in here you have groups. And the way it works is you assign things to different groups. You can see I have different levels and groups. So I have another video that explains this, and I'll link that in here, how you do round robin. So just trying to go through this fast. All right. So what does it sound like? All right. So then, you know, I had the compressor. Using the bass compressor. I really like this one. However, it sounds really good on this guitar. So I change things around. And pedal board using just one setting distortion grit. Sounds good. And I'm also using an amplifier using the Amp Designer. Modern head with a Shure 57. EQ. This is a really good setting. Acoustic guitar improv. Just a different setting. And a limiter. And then we go to Space D, which is my Yamaha Rev100 unit that I sampled. And we put them all together, it sounds like this. Let's go ahead and just play it. Yeah. Nice sound, nice sound. And you're saying, well, how does that sound so cool? And on this right here, this part, this MIDI part, all I'm doing is how I got this is I just started playing scales on the piano. I just go da 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 da, and I was like, man, this sounds really cool. As I was playing, as like I would play had the piano part or the pads part, and I just started playing the scales up and down, and then I started doing this, you know, with the finger, you know, just kind of like a little improv. And originally it was a piano part. And then I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and let's put it to the guitar. So it sounds like, and I was like, wow, this sounds really cool with the guitar. And then I was just like, man, you know, and then the next thing, I just started tweaking some of the notes and in the MIDI and started editing the MIDI around. And next thing I notice, I got something that sounds really, really, really good. At least I think so. And that's the Ovation Guitar. And the Reverb is basically just an automation channel. I don't think I'm really using anything in this automation channel. Mr. Wyan Improv is the part where he goes, yeah. And if we go in here, what's he saying? Yeah. Woo! Yeah, that's what he's saying. And then we got different hits sampled from something I got in Alchemy. It sounds like this. Yeah. So you always get that cool, groovy sound when you're doing a jazz fusion. So this is the new template. It's going to be released today. I'm going to go ahead and stick it on LogicProHacks.com. You'll see it. Just look for dimensions. Also, I got all the chords structures up there to kind of show you where it's at, what's going on. So without further ado, here is Dimensions Downtempo Jazz Fusion. Couch Hater inspired. And remember, my friends, stay groovy.